Welcome to Shorty Supercoach and welcome to the last of the club previews. We're going to take a look at the Western Bulldogs. And it's been a good little series. So I had a couple of comments in regards to doing these and it's been really good. They seem to have got pretty consistent views and it's a good way of, I suppose, highlighting a number of players in just one video, which is a bit different to the player profiles. But we will reboot those player profiles pretty soon, and a couple other things. I'll do a little team update and a couple of bits and pieces. But yeah, anything you want to see, let me know in the comments, and I'll endeavour to do them, or at least think about it, because it's a bit tough to get to absolutely everything in every player profile. But I do the best to try and get to the relevant ones. So the Dogs, they've got a few names, and mainly through the midfield, and that's where I go straight up for the lock. Now, in terms of a lock, it's really interesting. The only dog I have two dogs, but the premium types, Caleb Daniel. Now, the only reason I say he's a lock is because I think he's a little bit unders, 537k. You know, it's a little pricey, but 99.1, sorry. But before he got a little injury, a few niggles towards the end of the season, he was averaging 3 figures, and he's just their go-to guy in the back line. Really nice kick, takes the easy option all the time. He hits 15 and 20 metre kicks all day long. I think he's very, very reliable. But more to the point, probably Josh Dunkley and certainly Jack McRae. I mean, McRae has done unbelievable numbers. 668k he is after averaging 123.2. And he just does it all. He finds plenty of the ball, tackles hard, inside and out. He's a very, very good player. And Dunkley was outstanding once he moved into the midfield last year. He averaged 116.5, I believe it was, and 632k he'll cost you. So I wouldn't absolutely lock Dunkley. I think he's going to be a superstar, obviously, but Beveridge just makes me nervous. He just makes me nervous with how he has all these sort of midfield types and he just can throw them around. But you'd be an absolute nutcase to be moving Dunkley from where he just produced a stellar season. So just a couple of absolute ball magnets, and they should do the same in 2020. Now, the risk, I've seen his name a little bit, and I always see him too. Tom Liberatore, there seems to be this desire for him to return to those golden days where he's just outstanding, but I don't think it's going to happen. 447k he is as a midfielder. If you take away that 30 he had when he got injured, 86.1 was his average last year. But like I just mentioned, there's plenty of Bulldogs in this side that are fantastic through the midfield. And unfortunately for Libra, I think a combination of his injuries catching up with him and not being the main man in that midfield anymore, we're just not going to see it. So I couldn't really find too many other risky propositions that were relevant. But Libra I'd seen in a couple of sides. Yeah, he's cheapish. Yeah, he's averaged 110. But it's an absolute no from me. Breakout contender. Now, this brings me to the other Bulldog in my side, and it's Tim English. Now, he would be a really good player profile that I'll have to do. And he's 448k, and I really felt that he found his feet last year, particularly late. Played a really good final. Only scored 84, but 105 AFL fantasy, so he mustn't have used the ball overly well or something. But his last few rounds 18 to 23, 92, 65, 97, 105, and 104. Now, if we can get an average sort of in that 90 mark, that's going to be really, really good. And if you are looking for an alternative other than spending bulk coin with Gawn and Grundy in your ruck department, I think English is your man. He's on the rise. He's been long compared to, well, he was talked about as a Dean Cox type. That's a little ridiculous, but he has similar blueprint. You know, tall, lanky fella, mobile, takes a little bit of time, but he is sort of going to be a higher possession type ruckman. He's just got to work on his actual tap craft, but I really like him as a proposition. Going to need to see a bit through the preseason, but at the moment he's in my side. And Paddy Lipinski as well is a bloke that I think has real capability of scoring some good numbers. 81.3 average. He's 441k. And he had some really big turnouts with, sort of high 20 possession counts, a couple of 110 plus scores. Just has a real look about him as he could develop into quite a player. Now, I don't think anyone's going to go with him, but it'd be pretty ballsy. But could be a little sneaky one for your draft, I reckon. And who's no chance for my side? It's a little controversial, but Marcus Bontempelli is no chance for my side. Now, he was obviously outstanding last year. He averaged 114.7, puts him at 623k. But I just wonder if Bont is able to produce those big, big numbers all the time. I know he's a superstar of the game, but he isn't always a quantity-based player. Now, I fell into the Bontempelli trap a few years ago. It's funny how we changed our tune extremely quick. I remember the days where we used to talk, Nat 5. No, he doesn't use the ball well enough. Now, you can't go with him Supercoach. And the same was said with Bontempelli, not the ball use, but it was just when he was averaging sort of early hundreds. And I went with him after he played that fantastic final series when the Dogs won the flag. And he just didn't take that absolute next step. Struggled with the tag a little bit, but he seems to have stepped his game up. Nonetheless, that fantastic average. The rest, 103.2, 107.7, that's very good. 105.1 and 104. Now, all depends what you think, but I like to pick premiums unless I have a really good feel. I like to pick premiums that have averaged around that premium mark more than once. Now, you could probably argue 107.7, that's pretty good. But he hasn't had any other 110 pluses or anything too close. So I'm not going to go with him, and I'm not even going to think about him. But you guys probably smash me in the comments and say I'm an absolute idiot. So let me know what you think. That's what I reckon of the Bulldogs. There's definitely a lot to like about the Dogs in 2020. And with that comes a fair bit of quality in the Supercoach department. So it'll be interesting to see how many Dogs run through the midfield for many people. At the moment, I've got none. And that could prove very, very telling. Could be good, could be bad, but wait and see. So let me know what you think, and I appreciate you joining me once again. Like I said at the start of the video, we'll have a look at some other things and bits and pieces we can do content-wise. Player profiles will be upcoming. I've actually just clicked into holidays. I was up at the Australian Open a couple of days ago. Saw Kyrgios get Kachanov in that super tiebreak, so that was great. A little bit of an Instagram story at times, so it was a really good day, but I'll be back. Yeah, I think player profiles will be the immediate thing, and then I'll think of a couple other bits and pieces. But yeah, once again, cheers for that. I'll catch you soon.